Every drop of water is part of a journey. It begins as water vapor that falls to earth as rain. For the next 25 years, it's filtered through volcanic rock. At last, it arrives at its final destination. Really? Can somebody come fix this?
When it comes to water, don't waste a drop. You don't have to go to extremes to save water. For easy water-saving tips, visit boardofwatersupply.com. don't have to go to extremes to save water. For easy water-saving tips, visit boardofwatersupply.com.
Every drop of water is part of a journey. It begins as water vapor that falls to earth as rain. For the next 25 years, it's filtered through volcanic rock. At last, it arrives at its final destination. Really? Can somebody come fix this?
When it comes to water, don't waste a drop.
All right, good afternoon, everybody. It's great to see all of you again. The months just keep flying by here. Today is March 25th, 2019, and we're here for the regular meeting of the Board of Water Supply. And so I'd like to start with the first item requiring board action, which is the approval of the minutes of the regular meeting held on February 25th, 2019. It has been brought to my attention that there is a suggested amendment.
Just a small.
Member Sue.
On page 2, I would like to strike in the third paragraph down. Mrs. Soon commented that the audit, starting from hard for him and having to question or comment on it, too complex. To just take that out so it reads, was too complex to review in such a short period. And then period. That's all. It really is the time that's provided that's the problem. It's not in the complexity being overwhelming.
Okay, we have that noted. Is there any questions?
Motion to adopt.
Okay, motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, and it's, I will note that it's a motion to adopt with the suggested amendment.
Yes.
Thank you. Is there any further discussion? Okay, hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. All right, the minutes are approved as with the suggested amendments by Member Sue. All right, moving on to the next item. This is was for the adoption of Special Purpose Revenue Bond Series 2019, Resolution number 895, 2019, to authorize up to 11.2 million principal amount of Series 2019 Special Purpose Revenue Bonds for Nu'uanu Reservoirs numbers 1 and 4. At this time, we are going to be deferring this to a later board meeting. There are a couple of issues that need to be clarified before we're ready to present this to the board. All right, we're going to move on to the items for information. The first item for information is the legislative bills update. Manager Lau?
Thank you, Chair and members. Good afternoon. Our legislative liaison, Kathy Mitchell's not here today. She's ill. So I'll be providing the report this afternoon. You have the written report in front of you. We've passed the first crossover at the legislature. That was on March 7th. And just covering, say, the City Council, there was a couple of resolutions considered by the City Council that the board should be aware of. First resolution is number 18-266 CD1. And this is a resolution that the City Council passed urging the rejection of approval of a single wall upgrade wall tank upgrade option for the Red Hill fuel storage tanks. And also rejecting the conclusions presented in the Navy's groundwater protection evaluation and considerations for the Red Hill bulk fuel storage facility report. That resolution passed. The second resolution considered by the council that you should be aware of is a resolution in support of a affordable housing and shelter project at Alder Street, 902. So that resolution passed the council. And at the state legislature, you have lists in front of you. I think the one to focus on is at HB 594 HD1, Cunha Wells 4 Exploratory Well Project. This is through the Department of Land and Natural Resources to drill an exploratory well to support diversified ag in that area. That crossed over to the Senate. We also have a companion measure in the Senate that also will be crossing over to the House. That'll be SB 1542 SD2. So we're hopeful that as the legislature proceeds through their budget adoption process and conference committee, that this will remain as a CIP project through the Department of Land and Natural Resources. So we'll update you if it passes. We're monitoring the situation there.
Question.
Yes.
Did they change the appropriation for it?
They blanked out.
They blanked it out? Okay.
Yeah, they blanked it out,
Okay.
and it left it up for typically, in my experience of the state government, it's in conference committee when both the House Finance and the House Ways and Means Committee come together in conference to discuss both the operating budget and the capital improvement program budget. I think this year, from what I've heard, they moved pretty quickly through the operating budget, which is quite surprising because usually this is done in the latter part of April, and they're probably getting close to discussions on the CIP. And we have spoken to members of both the House, appropriate House committees and Senate committees. Okay, let's see, there was a bill on the Senate SB on page 3, SB 221, Senate Draft 1. And this was a bill that requires actually the county wastewater agencies to work with the Department of Health to establish a low-interest loan program to upgrade or convert cesspools to septic systems or aerobic systems, or to connect to an existing county sewer system. There was language in there that provided for the option of on-bill financing, but fortunately the Senate committee did hear our concerns about that, and in the SD1 I think they removed the language about on-bill financing. Let's see. I am available for any questions. You have a list of the bills in the report, and also attached spreadsheet of House and Senate bills that we're kind of monitoring. We've been tracking from the start of the legislature. Are there any questions?
Manager Lau, I have a question on resolution, City Council Resolution number 18-266.
Yes.
And this is a resolution urging the EPA and the State Department of Health to reject the approval of a single wall tank upgrade alternative option for the Red Hill bulk fuel storage facility.
Yes.
Do you know how this resolution originated?
This resolution originated with the City Council Committee. I think it's now called Public Infrastructure and Technology. The acronym is PITS, by Councilwoman Carol Fukunaga. Her
Okay.
committee introduced this resolution.
And was it at the request of constituents, or was it our request?
We did
BWS?
meet with the council member to give her an update about the Red Hill situation, and she did request consideration of drafting a resolution.
Okay, so we didn't request it, it was just brought up.
During our discussions with the council, we periodically give council members a update, especially her committee is where the Red Hill issues typically addressed, and also the area council members on the Red Hill situation.
I see.
It's important to keep in mind that the Navy has not yet submitted a tank upgrade option, although last August in a official correspondence from the Navy, they indicated a strong preference toward maintaining the existing quarter-inch steel plate and just do what they're kind of doing right now, which is inspect, clean, inspect, and patch.
Okay, all right, any other proponents, that were involved in this?
There's actually, what surprised us on this resolution, that the amount of, I would say, grassroots support is kind of growing on this issue, concerns about the Red Hill fuel situation, which for the Board of Water Supply, you all well know that we're about trying to prevent further contamination of our drinking water aquifer there. Sierra Club is active, but there is also a lot of individuals from the community. Kathy's not here, but I think there might have been over 100 testimonies in support of the resolution. Just to be aware, also the state senate, I think it was last week, took up, heard a similar, kind of a similar resolution, also urging the regulators, the Department of Health and EPA to not accept a single wall tank upgrade alternative. And that did pass the committees, Senator Gabbard and Senator Nishihara's committee, Military Affairs and the Environment. Both committees met jointly, heard that bill, and there was also a substantial amount of support. Just for information too, maybe I could ask something to show the board that just has come up recently regarding the Red Hill situation and talk about grassroots community support. Donna? Okay, it's a little distorted, but Donna, maybe you can move the projector a little bit to the right. Oh, it's the, and I apologize, but basically, if you can go back to the first page. Okay, so this is what's done every year by the Office of the City Auditor. It's something called the National Citizen Survey. Thank you, Lane. And this is a survey, and in this case, each year they survey between 400 to 500 members of our community. So through the city auditor, and I think the margin of error is plus or minus 5%. Next, it's a little hard to see, but first paragraph from the top. When asked about the importance of issues for the city auditor to address in the next 2 years, the impact of homeless population received the highest priority ratings by residents. Second was protecting Honolulu's drinking water aquifers, which was actually kind of a complete surprise to me. I didn't realize they were going to ask this question. We don't have anything to do to suggest what questions the city auditor puts out in this survey. At least I don't remember being approached by them. Ellen, do you remember?
They do ask us for input.
But
Yeah.
they decide what questions.
What questions to put in.
And I don't remember them telling us that they're gonna put this question in there. So when I got the survey report results back, you can see that it's hard to see the numbers there. Even my eyes are not that good. I think it's around 87% or so of our community, of respondents to the survey felt that it was extremely to very important for our community, the Red Hill situation. This was even higher than marine debris collection, online services, overcrowded beaches, and this only became second to homelessness. So just thought maybe the board might want to be aware of this. This is put up by the city auditor. It's between 400 to 500 members of our communities that was surveyed. And the margin of error is plus or minus 5%, I think. Thank you. So I just wanted to let the board know there seems to be growing support about concerns about protecting our water resources there at the Red Hill area.
Okay, yeah, I definitely, I will take note of that. I do wanna, thank the Sierra Club. I know they did a lot of, the groundwork in terms of trying to get the testimonies and whatnot.
And I would add to that, Chair, Councilmember Carol Fukunaga
Absolutely.
and her committee members. I was surprised, but they were very passionate, and I think this measure passed the city council with only 2 members absent. So 7 of the 9 members voted in favor of the resolution, and there were none in oppose that were opposed to the resolution.
All right, great.
Thank you.
Members, any further questions on the legislative bills? If not, we'll move on to the next item for information. It's the update for fee waivers for affordable housing, homeless, and automatic fire sprinkler retrofit projects. Chair recognizes Deputy Manager Ellen Kitamura.
Good afternoon, Chair and board members. I just wanted to give you a short update of where we are regarding the waivers that the board approved for affordable homeless and fire sprinkler retrofit projects. This is approved in August when we did our rate schedule, and effective September 15th of last year. So what you see here are a list of the building permits that the Board of Water Supply has approved. You'll see there's 5 of them. So far, the qualified units are 178 of the 500 that was approved for the board. And then so far, we've waived $155,000. Now, these are the building permits that we have approved by the Board of Water Supply. There are other building permits that are still going through the queue for DPP. So we expect that this number will increase, but we just wanted to give you an idea of, well, I think this program has been fairly successful, and then the board's contribution to the program itself. So if you have any questions, I'm willing to take them at this time.
Members, if any questions? I have a couple of questions.
Sure.
Can you remind me what our limit, we set a cap, is this the one we set a cap?
500
The
units?
cap is 500 units
So
for
cap
the
is
fiscal
500
year.
units.
Yes.
Right.
When did we start this project?
It was effective September
September.
15th of 2018. And if you look at the third column, that's when the building permit was approved. So we have until the ending of this fiscal in order to, if we were going to reach our cap. So right now, we're 178 of the 500 for this fiscal
Okay,
year.
and we've got about maybe 3-4 months in our fiscal year left?
Yeah, until
That's correct.
June 30th. Yeah.
Okay, so we got a lot more if people wanted to.
There have been some inquiries, but when we've been telling them that they need to submit their building permit, we don't approve ahead of time. We really want to make sure that the project is a go.
Okay, great. That sounds great. I definitely want the record to reflect that the cap that we had set looks like it is appropriate. We're not turning anybody away.
Yeah, it seems to be very successful and much appreciated by all of the people that are, I guess, affected by the affordable and homeless. And the fire sprinkler retrofit projects, we have not gotten any building permits, but we have had some inquiries. So these, as you can see, are just for the affordable and homeless.
One thing to keep in mind, that 500 units is the limit, but it's not a hard limit, because if, say, for example, we're at 490, and another project comes in that would take us over 500, I believe, and I just want to confirm with the board now, that the manager has, I as the manager has discretion to approve one more project that could take us over 500 units. But another project, once we exceed the 500 units, that's when we would say, please wait till the next year. Is that correct?
That's my recollection, and I see some nods, but
Okay.
better to go back to the original. But
I will.
That is my
It
recollection.
is, I think, what's in the fine print of what was adopted with the scheduled water rates.
Donna, oh, I'm sorry. Actually, I do have, yeah. So I did put this slide in there. This is specifically what's in the scheduled rates and charges. And as you can see, the second to the last sentence, the annual cap of 500 dwelling units. And then also that the manager has discretion in the event that it needs to increase. So that is in the fine print on our website as part of the scheduled rates and charges.
That's great. And then one more question, if you go back to the last slide.
Sure.
So I'm looking at the number of qualified units and then the fees waived. It seems like there's not really any correlation between the qualified units and fees waived. Is that the size of the meter? Does the fees waived?
Yeah, it's actually a couple of things. It is the size of the meter, but then also the water systems facilities charges. In certain instances where you actually do have an existing meter, the water systems facilities charges may not apply. So it's a combination of the size of the meter and also what kind of credits they may already have towards the water systems facilities charges, which is a larger cost.
But remember too that the meter size doesn't play into the water system facility charges, the number of plumbing fixture units that they add to their development.
Okay.
Thank you.
Members, any questions? All right, we are moving on to the next item on our agenda. Item number 3 is the update on public outreach for new rates. Chair recognizes Kathleen Elliott Pahini.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair and board members. Why does this thing never work for me? Donna, could you go to the next page, please? Oh, you turned it off. Okay, never mind, got it. Thank you. Never mind, thank you. Okay, thanks, Donna. The point on this page I'd like to make, this is just a quick recap of what we did in 2018. And at the bottom, I added this bullet point. I wanted you to see that all of our rate pages that we have put up on our website from when we started in April of 2018 through to, just last week or a couple weeks ago, we've received almost 21,000 page views. So people are actively going to our website and seeking out information. So for 2019, why we're not going as extensive as we did in 2018, meaning public meetings and things like that, we did take our water matters, which you probably hopefully all got in your water bill, and updated it and sent it out again in March with all of our bills. And then we will be taking this and updating it again as we get closer to the actual time of transition. But this has been very handy. In fact, we got a very nice compliment today from a customer who thanked us for really thorough examples and calculations and transparency. So while we're not going to be as everywhere as we were last year, we're still going to be going out through our neighborhood boards with messaging, social media. We have these at City Hall, at all the satellite city halls as well. So again, we just wanted to kind of keep you in the loop as to what we're doing, that we did not stop once the board here approved everything last year. We did not stop with our communications outreach. Are there any questions?
Members, any questions?
Thank you. And I just wanted to point out, I hope everyone will take their little bottle with them. I heard that, I apologize, it's not at last month's board meeting, but I had heard that the desire to have these for all of our employees. So we did order some more, but we also wanted to share it with the board members. Thank you very much.
A quick question.
Yes.
Nobody show any rotten tomatoes at you folks at the public hearings, that they're raising their rates?
No, actually, we were very lucky. No,
Well, I
Ernie
guess I'm
didn't,
just
Ernie
leading-
didn't
I'm
get
just-
any.
yeah, just leading up to, I mean, what was the response? I mean, it looks, I mean, that's awfully small, you know, 4 public hearings, only 65 attendees.
Well, normally what we've done in the past is the only public hearing is right before the annual board, before the board meeting. We actually did 4 regional public hearings at night. We went to Kaneohe, Kapolei, we did down over here, and then Mililani. And we averaged about 20 people. And there were a couple people would always come up and have some concerns, but overall, the response that we got was very positive in terms of the presentation and understanding of why we were doing. We did a very comprehensive PowerPoint that built the story as to why we were raising the rates. We weren't just raising it because we need money. We explained why through our water master plan and the criteria for the pipe replacement at 21 miles per year and how we were going to ramp up to that within 10 years. So people really appreciated the time we took to explain the reasons why. Then we also sent this Water Matters out last year also in all of the bills, so people would have plenty of advance notice as to why we're doing it. The good news is for most of it, the difference in the current bill and the new bill is not that large. For most of our residential customers, they're not going to see a significant difference.
Yeah, I was there for 2 of the 4 public meetings. We did try to do our best to get people out there. And you know, I was all ready to go. But there just the turnout just, I mean, there didn't seem to be a large interest in.
Well, there's usually my experience that the ones that you get out there are the ones that really.
Actually, yeah, and we really didn't get that much. We did, I mean, we'd have like one person at every meeting.
Which is good.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, it's good.
Yeah.
That, you know, the increase is not in such a way that, you know, you bring out the
Yeah.
the
Well,
no birds, you know.
we also made presentations at about 15 different neighborhood board meetings as well. And we also put all 4 public hearings that we did, we put those on our website so people could go back. So we made sure there was plenty of opportunity for everybody to review what we were doing.
Yeah, and we tried to make it as convenient for people holding it in the evenings, like for example in Kaneohe, Mililani. So I know Ernie and the staff, you know, came out, you know, after hours, tried to make it convenient. We even tried to bribe them with food. But apparently the food wasn't enough. Maybe a different kind of food next time. Anyway.
Little things in cabbage.
Yeah, there was I'd say the effort by the team was pretty extensive.
Yeah.
And,
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to the next item. We have, let's see here. This is a status update of the Energy Savings Performance Contracting, or ESPC project. Chair recognizes Mr. Mark Chang.
Afternoon, Chair and members of the board. In November, we gave an update on where the project was, and I think the thought was to go ahead and give you folks regular updates. So here we are in March to give you an update of where the project's at. The project itself, as a quick refresher, does a whole bunch of different energy conservation measures. They're listed out here, and on the right side is the various stages of completion that we're at right now. The one I really want to highlight, because last time we were just about to start, it was the Baratenia Carport PV. So we started in December, and it's about 20% complete, and that one, this is what the artist's rendition was going to be. 3 carports above the employee lot, and 1 large and over the equipment lot. A few other pictures. And this is last week, if I remember correctly. We got the first set built on the lower level of the employee parking lot. And work is starting on the second one today, in fact. So if you folks want to take a look, you can go up there. People are actually able to park under there now. The carports are physically up there. All the wiring and all that's not hooked up yet, so it's not generating power yet, but at least the physical part of it's there. Now, the other question that was asked is what kind of savings are we actually seeing from any of the improvements that we've already put in. Now, keep in mind, we're not in the guaranteed savings portion of it, but we took a look at some of our electric bills just to see what kind of impact we're seeing. So taking, for example, the Waianae Corporation yard. It's a smaller yard. What we did there was change out the old fluorescent light bulbs, ballasts and all that stuff, and light bulbs, and replace it with all LEDs. The red line is approximately when we finished it. And this is in kilowatt hours, the amount of power that is being purchased from HECO for this site. And so for all that time before the red line, it averaged about maybe 5,100, 5,100 kilowatt hours. After the red line, it's about 3,600. So it gives you an idea of how much we're saving there. The Wahiawa Corporation yard is another similar, smaller type of yard. Again, the red line is when the lighting retrofit went in there. And again, that's what this particular project put in at those particular sites. I couldn't explain why there was that little raised area before we did it, but after that, the average prior to the change was about 4,200 kilowatt hours, and afterwards it came down to about 2,700 kilowatt hours. So we're definitely seeing a reduction in the amount of power that's being used by that particular site. So that's just on lighting retrofits in two of our smaller yards. We had one station where we've actually had PV installed and is generating power for enough time that we can see some trends, about 4 months worth. So that's at our YL booster number 2, our YL 550 reservoir site. The red line, of course, shows when the PV was put online. Going back again to the average kilowatt hours that were used prior was something in the neighborhood of about 14,000 kilowatt hours. After the PV went in, we actually were purchasing about 7,000 kilowatt hours from HECO. And that's just from PV at that site. So we're definitely seeing improvement. It'll vary amongst different sites, but at least some examples of the types of things that are going on. In addition, the project itself gets rebates for Hawaii Energy. And as of right now, we've had 5 rebates come in for a total of about $70,000. We're anticipating more rebates to be coming in as they get processed with Hawaii Energy. So a little extra for us. And with that, I just see if there are any questions here.
Question.
Yes?
The vehicles, are they a part of the ESPC?
They are in a sort of interesting sort of way. We looked at it as a way of reducing operational costs. And so they were part of our initial solicitation of what could you possibly do. They listed approximately 28 vehicles that maybe could be changed over to hybrids. Now, as we went through the process, we realized there wasn't a mechanism to actually purchase it through the financing that we had. So from that standpoint, it's not being purchased through that. However, the savings that would be generated from the Board of Water Supply actually purchasing those vehicles is being included as part of the analysis. So in the case of the previous slide, I think it was 24 out of the 28 vehicles have actually been purchased by the Board of Water Supply.
What types of vehicles are
They're actually all hybrids. We have one plug-in hybrid, and the rest are regular hybrids.
Like cars?
Yeah, RAV4s, yes, SUVs.
SUVs and sedans, and Ellen has
I have
the
the
first BWS plug-in hybrid.
What kind of cars?
It's a Prius. I'm getting used to it. The car is smarter than I am, definitely. But it is, I guess once I got into some sort of a pattern on when to plug it in, it got a lot easier. And from what I can see, I've had the car maybe a couple months. It hasn't had to fill up yet.
So are there plans to make improvements to the parking stalls, like where the deputy manager parks, to have a plug there?
There is a plug
There's
there.
a plug there.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
provision for another plug-in hybrid too.
As far as the overall project too, this is the picture of the equipment lot PV. The intention is actually, I believe, around this pole here, to go ahead and install 2 plug-in charging stations there, for 4 vehicles total.
Thank you.
I have a question.
Sir.
When is the payoff date on these, you got the rebates coming in, you got the over the cost of the installation, cost of the equipment. What
The,
is the
okay, well, the,
payoff date that,
the overall contract is set up that over the course of 17 years, that the total cost of the project will be paid back for all this, by the savings, the guaranteed savings that come in from all the different improvements that we put in. So if you want to look at it from that standpoint, 17 years will be totally paid off for the project.
Different energy conservation measures have a faster break-even point?
right.
Right. Yeah, so it does vary per which one
Yeah,
we're
it
talking
varies.
about.
I'm just
Yes.
saying, but average, what, 17 years? you
Well,
said?
that's the entire contract.
That's
we
the
set.
one that's the
The
what, the
over-
longest or oldest, I should say?
Right, I mean, in aggregate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think the PV, what was the estimated break?
About 9.5 years, one of the early ones. It might have been updated a little bit.
Actually, even quicker.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So what is the 17 years?
The total project in aggregate. So the state law allows up to 20 years, including construction. So for our project, I think we used 17 years in the cash flow analysis to break even. So after 17 years, then all the improvements would have been paid for itself from the savings, and then we would just see savings going forward after that.
Okay, so I guess my question is, if some of them have shorter return rates,
Mhm.
return periods,
Right.
which is the one that pushes it out to 17 years?
Let me, I'm not sure if I have that particular
yeah.
slide in
I
front
mean, I
of me.
understand that a project like this is not gonna be the same as changing the lights.
Mhm, correct.
Much more involved.
Yeah, I understand that, and I'm trying to figure, and I'm like Ray, I'm trying to figure out what is the 17-year one? Is it that one, or?
It could include, I will have to get back to you
Yeah,
this, but just kind of,
Yeah, it,
some of the examples might be a pump replacement, or air conditioning replacement, replacing a chiller, or air-cooled unit for an air conditioning system, the payback might be longer. There may be, but a pump replacement might be a longer payback. So what an ESPC project does, Energy Savings Performance Contracting Project, it takes everything in aggregate. So you have a mixture of quick payback, quick break even, with longer term payback. And what that is the fast payback items like lighting creates a savings stream to help pay for the longer term improvements to efficiency, or in this case, renewable energy also. So that mixture together, we could do projects separately by just say doing a lighting project by itself, and that's fine, but by doing it all together, we kind of mix things that have more capital intensive, longer term payback with quick payback items to help the whole project break even in 17 years.
I guess what I want to, that's why I'm sitting here. When we kind of are businessmen, we like looking at cash flow analysis.
Sure, yeah.
You have really a great matrix that lays out where you're at, status update by, it would be great if you had a couple more columns that told us what the cash flow looks like.
Okay.
But I want to add, I'm not asking the question for, to create more work. Part of why you have so few negative comments at community meetings is because the Board of Water Supply has built a brand of being trustworthy and being transparent. You get information out to people. And I think this is a really good project that shows that we're paying attention to ratepayers and what they're putting into the Board of Water Supply. And we're saving them money. In fact, we're really earning money back. It would be great if we could tell that story. So the more information you give us, the less.
Sure,
Yeah.
okay.
So if you have somebody asks a project like that, well, what's your payback on that? What date is your payback? In other words,
I know we have it, because
Yeah, well,
when we
but-
approved it, it was all laid out, and
Correct.
I just don't, I can't remember the numbers, but I think it should be easy to get.
Yeah, there's a table that has it. I just don't
And
have it with me.
I take it one step further, in, whoever's supplying you guys that, and they say, well, that's gonna last for 17 years, I'm just using that as an analogy. I wanna make sure you guys know that it's gonna last 17 years. So you guys may not be here in 17 years, but whoever's gonna be here in 17 years knows that that's what they promised.
Yeah.
That's all I'm
Understand.
saying. I mean, you need to at least have that information where it's good for public, that as Ray said, we're doing what we're supposed to be doing, but at the same time, you're getting something that somebody has promised you is gonna last for 17 years.
Right,
I agree.
once a project is completed, that's, brings up a good point. The ESPC project has something called measurement and verification. And it's done annually, so once a total project is completed and accepted, then our vendor, Noresco, we would work with them to do an annual measurement and verification process. And that would generate a report every year on its project's performance.
Yeah,
But good, I think the point that you might be making is this is a good story to tell. How do we equip you folks and how do we tell the story in a way that our customers can understand?
I don't think too many of us are gonna be around in here in 17 years.
I definitely will
Yeah.
not be.
So I think what they're asking is, are we on track for that 17-year payback, or is it going to be earlier because of the savings? I think that's what they're trying to say.
As a business, you need milestones along the way to say that it is performing the way it's supposed to be performing. And you are using the ratepayers' money in a good way. So as Ray says, it's a story to be told, but at the same time, you guys know that you're getting what you're getting, and somebody's not, I was going to say something else, but pulling a wool over your eyes.
Yeah.
We're holding them
I was going to
accountable.
blowing a smoke someplace.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
they're accountable for what.
Correct.
Yeah.
Good job.
So if there's no other comments, I just want to thank Mr. Chun and the department, Manager Lau, for this project. I think it's a great one for BWS. I think it's probably a good soundbite in terms of a press release, social media. Just creates the right message. So, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, anything else? Okay, if not, I'm going to move on to the next item, which is the status update of groundwater levels at all index stations. The chair recognizes Mr. Barry Usagawa.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and board members. The report is very similar to the previous ones, where no index wells are in the low groundwater status, and pumpage is, potable production is below 130. It's 124 MGD. Because of the weather, the temperature, the time of year, so water levels are relatively high. Rainfall has been, for the month of February, it was a wet month, 157% of normal. And the National Weather Service is forecasting on a month-to-month basis, so March is going to be below normal. But overall, water levels are high and anticipating the summer months. So that's my report.
Why do it stay at the line there? Because there's no more capacity for the aquifer to hold water, or why doesn't it go higher? Because it's raining there too.
Yeah, Wailua, yeah?
Yeah. The last one, that is Wailua, right? Yeah, Wailua.
Yeah, it's fairly, so the water levels are set right at where the low groundwater levels are set right at where the water levels were, just slightly below. So it just fluctuates there. The demand is very small. You would think that once the plantation stopped pumping that the water levels would go up, but that's just a function of how much leakage is going on into the ocean. We've seen increases in water levels in other aquifers, so like Punaluu, when we cut pumpage, water levels increased 3 feet. And 3 feet is the Geibin-Hertzberg relationship, the 1 foot above mean sea level equals 40 feet of aquifer thickness, so that's 120 feet of recovery in Punaluu. So we see that in certain aquifers, when others, especially Wailua, it's leaking out there. So I don't expect to see it rise. The quality usually gets much fresher though. over time. Yeah.
Any other questions?
Any other questions, members? If not, thank you for the report.
Welcome.
All right, next item is a water main repair report for February 2019. Chair recognizes Mr. Mike Fouquet.
Good afternoon, Chair Andai and members of the board. During the month of February, it's been kind of a busy month. The number of main breaks has gone up to 234. It has been a hectic month. Also, because we have a lot of areas that we need that require special attention, that caused our leak detection team to their mileage to be very low, basically just down to 1 mile, because they were involved with a lot of other areas that we had concerns about leaks. So that's where we are for this month. Any questions?
Thank you for the report. All right, that brings us to the end of our regular agenda. Before we adjourn, I just wanted to take a moment to, first of all, congratulate our fellow board member, Jay Tutai, for final confirmation in the Senate, which means that he's going to be serving on the board for another 4 years.
You can jump for joy a little bit.
So, congratulations.
Thank you.
Next is I wanted to thank the department for the swag here, the water bottles and these pins. I think each of you get these pins. Wear it proudly. I even got one on my bag. Thank you very much, and thank you for attending the meeting today.
Thank you.
Motion. Okay, motion to adjourn or
So
to
moved. Yes.
enter to
Executive session.
Yeah.
executive session. Second.
Second.
All those in favor say aye. All those opposed say nay. All right, let's get ready for executive session.